What is going on, guys? And welcome back to podcast 129 for the 2026 season. I just got done telling Tyler, man, you can just like feel it in the air. Football season is back. We're just right around the corner, a little less than a month away, or maybe like exactly 1 month away from today, which is crazy, is week one. As you can see, we got Tyler down there. We got a few housekeeping things like we probably need to address first, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
before we do that, Tyler, you can go ahead. How you doing, man? Like we're live on YouTube. Not really going to do a whole lot of editing this year, just straight off the rip. But how are you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. It's good to be back with at least Hunt for right now, which I know Hunt will probably touch on here in just a minute. But it's just good to be back talking ball with some of my best buddies. And, there's no better time than when we're on podcast 129. So I'm excited for this season, excited to get it rolling.
Yeah, nothing like technical difficulties to get the night started. I don't know if you noticed that, but I'm getting used to the. It's a little bit different when it's just live on here. But yeah, I guess the housekeeping thing is where is that bias Georgia Bulldog alum Jake Stinchcomb at? Shout out to our guy Jake. He is getting married. Like I think it is 1 month from today.
It's a month from yesterday, actually, less than a month.
Less than a month now. So happy for him, Tyler. I know you've grown up with Jake your whole life. I've known him since I was little. I'm looking forward to this wedding in a month. We're gonna have a good time. But so Jake's all of his attention, his time, and extra resources outside of work, they're dedicated to his fiance, soon to be wife, as they should be, as God intended, of course. So he's going to take care of that. He's going to get married. They're going to go on their honeymoon. They're going to have a great time and probably take, I would say, another week or two to kind of get back in the groove of things. But don't worry, he will be back. You'll still have that biased Georgia fan coming back. And there's no talent. Like it's gonna be like the middle of the year too. So I'm very interested because we might just have to like just put him on here and just let him talk for an hour because he's
Yeah,
gonna cover all these things. But we're hoping, fingers crossed, he can get on here for a preseason episode and at least give out his bracket and his Heisman pick and his conference champions. Hopefully time allows that and it all works out with our schedules. If not, that's okay. But we just want to say we're happy for you, Jake. We love you, man, and we're gonna miss you on here, but we're gonna save just a little bit of time, and two, it's just gonna make us even more excited for when you do come back. So, all
yeah.
right,
Shout out Jake, man. Shout out Jake.
shout out Jake. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's time to talk ball, man. Enough of the housekeeping, enough of the ramblings, like just chomping at the bit. Uh, Today, honestly, we are just going to be talking about like preseason teams that might not be getting talked about enough. Just some long shots in each of the Power Four conferences. We're each going to pick one team out of any team in the nation that we'd be surprised, or everybody's picking to make the playoff, but we're actually going to go against that. We're going to be like, you know what? We don't think this team's making the playoff. And then lastly, we're going to give out two Heisman dark horses. So, anything else I'm missing on there, Tyler?
I think that's it, man. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's hop right into it. All right, the dark horse teams that we chose. Tyler, I'll let you go first. We're just going to start from left to right here. In the Big Ten, you chose the Washington Huskies. And last year, Jake and I both put Washington in our playoff. We thought they were going to go 10-2. Ended up going 8-4, I believe. That with a loss to Wisconsin, man, that just kind of it was tough. They might have gone 9-3. I can't remember. They lost to Oregon. They lost to Wisconsin, and Wisconsin's punter was the leading passer for that team in that game last year. And I think they dropped one or two more. But Tyler, if you want to go ahead and talk about the Huskies, man, like let's see if you can reel me back in for 2026.
Yeah. So enough of last year's news, right? So um, I have a little bit of bias with this team right now. I've got a little dynasty going with the Washington Huskies, and man, let me tell you, I love playing with the Huskies. Damon Williams, he's a stud. I'm looking for him to have a really big year. both on the ground, through the air. Either way, I think he can get the job done. Um, I think that Washington is one of those teams where they always have a ton of talent on their team, but it might not be recognized as much. Um, and I think that that's something that they can kind of lean into. They're kind of playing with that chip on their shoulder of, hey, we've been here before, we've done it before. It was a couple of years ago, yeah, but nonetheless, they've been in a big situation before, and I think that they can kind of return to that this year. Again, these are dark horse teams. I'm not picking them to win the freaking Big Ten or anything like that, but I can see a path for them to make it to the title game. So, looking at their schedule, I mean, in my opinion, they have one of the easier schedules in the Big Ten. I mean, they're non-conference. I mean, you have Washington State. Okay, it might be close because it's a rivalry game. Utah State, Eastern Washington. I mean, those are games that you're going to win very handedly. Then you play Minnesota at home. They're not going to be anything too great. You go to USC. That's one I have kind of marked where I think that they can win that game, which we'll get back into later. But then Iowa, Purdue, Nebraska, Penn State. I don't think they're going to be super great this year. And then Michigan State. So you're going into your last two games. I think they have a chance at being undefeated going into their last two games of the season, where they then will have to host Indiana and then go to Oregon. So
A
again,
brutal
I can see
That's a brutal 2 game stretch.
that is a brutal 2 game stretch. But see, what I'm saying is, let's say that Indiana drops a game early, or hell, even Oregon drops a game early. I mean, it can happen. We know it can. This crazy sport that we love. There's a very realistic chance that this team is 10-2. That's if they drop those 2 games at the end of the year. They're 10-2 sitting there at the end of the season. And that's going to be in the mix to win the Big Ten. It really is, or to get into the Big Ten title game. I think it is. I think realistically, I mean, they're probably going to go about 9-3, maybe 8-4. They drop one somewhere in the middle there, but I see a path for them to be 10-2 at the end of the season and end up in that title game. So that's kind of why I'm high on Washington there. Again, pretty easy schedule. They have good hidden talent that I think that they can take advantage of, and they've got a chip on their shoulder. They're ready to be back to where they were a few years ago.
Yeah, I'm looking at this schedule right now too. Like getting Minnesota at home, getting Iowa at home. Like I know those aren't like household powerhouse names, but like they're teams that can stump you up in the Big Ten every year. But like getting both of them at home, going to Nebraska, but it's off a bye week, so it's not bad. You get Penn State at home, but like, and you even get Indiana at home. Now, granted, I think by that time of the year, Indiana's going to be rocking and rolling, but still, you get them at home. So that'll be very interesting. Washington plus 2,500 to win the Big Ten might be worth a sprinkle, according to Tyler Vaughn. All right, my Big Ten team I put on here was Penn State, but I also wanted to give an honorable mention to Wisconsin. So Penn State, they are going to be the schedule merchant team. There's one every year, right, Tyler? There's one team every year, sometimes two or three, that like here's the difference between like Notre Dame, Miami, like and Penn State. Notre Dame, Miami, yeah, they might have weak schedules, but they're good football teams. Like we know the talent composite on those teams. Whereas Penn State, they have such a light schedule, and their team, like, don't get me wrong, they're going to be good. They brought Matt Campbell. I like Matt Campbell. He's won everywhere he's been. He brings in a good mix of young recruits plus the transfer portal, the leadership, the veterans like Rocco Becht and Carson Hansen. Those are the two big names coming out. Like Rocco Becht's just been playing college football for God knows how long. And having those guys there, bringing the offensive coordinator over from Iowa State, they're in a system that they've always ran. And like, I think they're going to be pretty dang solid with that. And then you look at their schedule, man. Marshall at home, at Temple, Buffalo at home. Like, those are your 3 tune-up games. And then, like, they play Wisconsin at home in week 4. And I'm very intrigued to see that game because I'll get to Wisconsin in a second. But like, I think that could be a make or break for this, how the rest of this Penn State season goes. But then they get Northwestern. They should have no problems against them. They welcome USC. That's a cross country trip for USC with no bye week beforehand. That's huge for Penn State. Then they go to Michigan, but that 2 game stretch right there, whatever. I think they will drop at least one, but maybe two. Purdue, and then they got to go to Washington, like you just noted, but then they get Minnesota and Rutgers and Maryland in the year. They should win those 3 games. So there's really only 3 games, and then maybe Wisconsin that I'm really like, dude, like, and if all they can do is really win one of those, right? If they win one and they're 10-2, they're gonna be in the playoff. A 10-2 Big Ten team's gonna be in the playoff. So they're plus 1,000, no, plus 1,900 to win the Big Ten. Just to get, but like, here's the thing, man. These conference championship games, they just got to get there. Just get there. It's any given Saturday, right?
Yep.
And then the last team I want to talk about is Wisconsin. I don't believe that Luke Fickell forgot how to coach football. This guy took Cincinnati to the playoff, the 4-team playoff, not the 12-team, the 4-team playoff. 2 back-to-back incredible seasons. Almost beat Georgia in the Peach Bowl in 2020. I don't think he forgot how to coach, and I think that Wisconsin was kind of like, well, we could fire this guy, or we could provide him with the resources he needs. Not to say that they're going to have Ohio State or even Indiana or Oregon type resources or anything, but I know there was a big thing coming out. Yeah, we should have done better. We should have supported this guy better. We're going to stick with him. And there's a name I want to throw out. Colton Joseph. He's the quarterback for Wisconsin this year. And I, as a Georgia Southern alum, watched him play at Old Dominion. And I remember when he made his debut in 2024, I believe. Yeah. Came in about the middle of the year. But last year, he's a full-time starter. He completed 60% of his passes. He threw for, 2,600 yards, what this is, 21 touchdowns, 10 picks. It's pretty solid. But he also rushed for over 1,000 yards last year. This guy's got some wheels on him. And their schedule as well, not that difficult. Now, granted, I am not saying that they're going to win the Big Ten or make the playoff, but let's just say everything goes right. They have to host Notre Dame, or they're playing Notre Dame at Lambeau Field week 1. Okay, chalk that one up probably, but I think they're going to cover that 20.5. Then they play some Western Illinois and Eastern Michigan. I think they'll win both of those games, but that's what I'm saying. The winner of that Wisconsin-Penn State game, I think that team is going to excel through their schedule, because then Wisconsin gets Michigan State, total rebuild. They have a bye week. Then they got to go to UCLA, which I'm very excited to see what Bob Chesney's got going on out there. But if they got the bye week beforehand. Then they got to host USC. They got to go to Iowa. Not ideal. But then they finish with Rutgers, Maryland, Purdue, and Minnesota. Like, this team could probably win. I think most likely 6-6, 7-5, if we're just going based off paper. But I think there's a world where they win 9 games this year, and one of those losses being to Notre Dame. It's only 2 conference losses, with tiebreakers. You never know. Plus 10,000 to win the Big Ten. So I'll keep the next 2 short. I'll just kind of transition into the SEC here. I'll go with Missouri on this one, because I'll let you talk about LSU, because everything you're going to say about LSU, I'm going to just pretty much repeat about A&M. So I'll go into Missouri here. They bring in Austin Simmons, which that was Lane's guy, right? That was going to be Lane. That was Lane's starter week 1 last year, and he started a few games. He had a turnover problem. But who remembers in 2023 when this guy came in against Georgia for the greatest drive known to man and Ole Miss when Jackson Dart went down? That was crazy. I'm not saying that, he's going to do that every single time he's out there. But when you have a running back like Ahmad Hardy and you got a good backup running back, gosh, I forget the guy's name. I was Bishop, maybe. I was playing with him in NCAA football the other day, but I can't remember his name. But they got a really good running game. I'm a little concerned about the offensive line. I think the left side is going to be okay, but the right side, TBD. The receivers, they'll be okay or whatever. But Elijah Drinkwitz knows how to coach. I I've always thought he was a good coach at Missouri, and like I wouldn't have been surprised if he would have gotten the Penn State job last year. Um, let's see, they are plus 3,500 to win the SEC, so pretty big drop off there. But like they got three pretty easy non-con games: Arkansas, Pine Bluff. They get Kansas, which is a rivalry game, but like Kansas is going to fall off a cliff this year. Then they get Troy, Mississippi State, which I think they'll get a win there, and then they host Florida. And I think Florida's going to be in a little bit of a rebuild week 5, and they just get done playing Ole Miss the week before. Then they got A&M and Ole Miss back to back. Not ideal, but they do get A&M at home. And I'm up in the air about A&M right now. Arkansas, and then they got Texas, Georgia. So, and then they finish here with Oklahoma and Kentucky. So, I think what I have them down here is 8-4, 7-5, most likely. But I mean, when you have the talent at the running back, you can run the ball and you can kind of control the clock. And then you do have a talented quarterback who can also use his legs and Austin Simmons. Maybe a few things go right for Missouri. So that's kind of where I am with them. I'll let you talk about LSU, and I will just reciprocate everything you say.
All right. Well, I went with a little bit of a chalky answer here, but I am very high on LSU. And the reason why is I know Hunter's mentioned coaches a couple times tonight already. But Lane Kiffin can coach a dang football team. He's creative. He can recruit well. He's done very well out of the portal, bringing guys over to LSU, even just in him moving over there. And whatever he does off the field, whatever kind of sorority girl cheerleader he's getting with, I don't really care. He's out there and he's going to coach a dang good football team. And it's been proven year after year. So LSU is plus 900 to win the SEC, which again, I know it's a little bit chalky, but if you look at their schedule, I mean, yes, they're going to play Clemson week 1.
I'm going to just stop you real quick. It's not that chalky though. When Georgia and Texas are like just no, oh, it's going to be Georgia, Texas. It's going to be Georgia, Texas. And then you also got like Ole Miss and A&M right there in the mix with them. And I think Alabama has better odds. Like, and the drop off from 1-2 to LSU is like it's a pretty big drop off. Like plus 900 is not what I would consider chalky. So I don't want you to be like beating yourself up about it.
No, I mean, I'll never beat myself up about anything like that for real, but it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, there's like every other team on here is at least plus 1,000, I'm pretty sure. So this was just my kind of, I could see a path here and I'm very high on this team, so I'm going to take it. But going back to their schedule, I think that they beat Clemson. I think Dabo's reign is done, and I think Lane Kiffin's going to come in there ready to go. Then they have Louisiana Tech, whatever, throw that game away to what it is. Then week 3, they go to Ole Miss, and then they're hosting A&M the week after that. That's a 2-game stretch where I think they get one of them, maybe both. Okay, I'm not very big on Texas A&M, and I'm not very big on Pete Golding. So I think there's a chance that they can win both. So let's say they're 4-0 going into the back half of the schedule. McNeese, okay, whatever, 5-0. Kentucky, 6-0. Mississippi State, 7-0. Auburn, 8-0. Okay, then you hit a little gauntlet. So then now you're playing host to Alabama and Texas back-to-back weeks. Again, let's say they get one, right? So that puts them at what, 9-1, I think is where I'm at. Then Tennessee and Arkansas to finish it off. When I went through and predicted my schedules this year, I had LSU at 11-1 playing Georgia in the SEC title game. Just based off of my gut, this is what I feel. This wasn't diving too analytically into anything. This was just me saying, I have faith in Lane Kiffin. I have faith in LSU's team because they're going to have we know they have the NIL to back it up. Kind of. But we know that they have the roster. They've always had a good roster. We know that they now have the missing piece, which I believe was Lane Kiffin. They were missing a coach. And I genuinely think that this team can make a run to not only being in the SEC title game, but also being in the playoff and making a run. I really do. I think LSU might be back. That might be crazy to say. And I don't even like LSU like that. I don't like Lane Kiffin like that. But as a non-biased football fan and just a freaking ball knower, right? I think LSU's got a shot here. So, Hunter, I don't know if that's exactly what you're going to reciprocate with Texas A&M, but there's where I am on LSU. I think that there is a very, very good chance that we see them playing in Atlanta.
No, it's actually pretty far from what I was going to say. I thought you were going to go a completely different route. What I will say is that look, I know A&M had like a little bit of a lighter schedule in the SEC last year. I still think Mike Elko is a dang good coach. I think their defense is going to be great. Question mark with Marcel Reed, of course. He's either going to play phenomenal or he's going to throw 3 picks. But if you can get him to start playing more consistent, continue to use those legs, they can win a lot of football games in this conference. I know their schedule is a little bit more difficult this year. I'm not going to go through all of it, but they're only plus 1,100. This team made the playoff last year. They were like number 3 for like most of the year. They were going to play in the SEC championship until they lost to Texas. I think they're still a good football team. My biggest question mark is the offensive line. They still got Mario Craver, so we'll see. I think he's going to be good, but I just got to see Marcel Reed be more consistent throwing the ball. And if he can do that, I like Mike Elko in a lot of these coaching matchups. So that's the only reason I really had him in there, because I think that's also these Texas schools got a lot of money, man. So um, I would like to hear you talk about Bo Perbula and the Virginia Cavs, though.
Sorry, I forgot I was on mute there for a second. Bo Pribula and the Virginia Cavaliers have an opportunity here. Plus 1,600 to win the ACC. They made it there last year, lost in, I believe, overtime in that game against Duke, right? Yeah, I believe that's it. But nonetheless, I think that this is a team that is there. One, I think I kind of talked about this with Washington, but I think they're playing with a chip on their shoulder. They were so close last year. And I mean, how many times have we seen Virginia in the ACC title game in our lifetime? Not very many. Maybe one. That last year might have been the first time that I can remember, at least. So they got a little taste. I think that they're hungry to do it again, and their schedule is not very good. It's good in their favor. I mean, NC State, you open up with that. That's going to be a good game. But I do think they can get it done. Bo Pribula, I think that he's a ball player. I think that he's going to be able to lead that team to a win there. Norfolk State, whatever, chop it up. West Virginia, that's another game, kind of a toss-up. It's at a neutral site. So, we'll see about that game. That game I have kind of circled. But then you have Delaware. I don't have a lot of confidence in Florida State. Don't have any confidence in Syracuse. At SMU is one of those trap teams. I think that they can get by it. Duke, again, one of those track teams. It's going to be a night game. It's already been announced, but they're hosting Duke. Wake Forest, chalk. Then they got to play my boy from the old Cal Bears. And that's a game I don't know if they win.
How do you pronounce his name? How do you pronounce his name, Tyler?
Hold on, I texted it to you the other day.
It's okay. For the second time, I just really want to say it. Jaron Kiave Sagapolatele. All right.
Yeah, that name. So, anyways, I'll hit on that in a future episode. But I think Virginia has the schedule to be sitting very comfortably again in the ACC title game. ACC, I think, is still going to have one of those years that's kind of weird. I don't think Clemson's going to have it. I think Miami will. But I think we could see a Miami-Virginia title game. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities. Again, at plus 1,600, it's something that if I was going to bet on the ACC championship, which who knows, maybe sprinkle a little money on there, plus 1,600, I might throw a little change on that game. So I think that they have a more talented roster than they've had in years past. I think they're more talented this year than they were last year, which they got in because of a weird situation with Miami and everything and tiebreakers and all that, I'm sure. But whatever you got to do, I think they have a very good chance to get in, and I think that they are ready to do that because they're hungry. They got a taste, and they want the whole freaking meal this year.
You know what's crazy? Miami wouldn't have made the playoff, much less the national championship game, if Virginia would have won the ACC. Isn't that wild to think about? How one outcome can change the entire postseason as we know it. I put NC State. They're plus 2,700. Yeah, plus 2,700 to make the ACC or to win the ACC championship. I think this team easily can go 9-3. My thing is, like, after Miami, I don't know what the rest of the conference is going to look like. So I think so. Tyler, you just talked about it, that Virginia, but they play each other in week 0. I think the winner of that game is going to that's just going to be such a big momentum builder going into the rest of the year. NC State gets Richmond after that. Then they get Vandy, which I think Vandy's going to fall off a cliff this year. App State at home. Louisville, I'm very high on Louisville this year and Lincoln Kineholtz, the transfer from Ohio State at quarterback. I love Jeff Brom. So, yeah, but they get him at home. You never know what's going to happen in Raleigh. Then they get Wake Forest. I think they're a better team than them. They get a bye week before they got to go to Stanford. I think that helps a lot. They get Cal at home, and Cal does not have that bye week beforehand. They get a rivalry game against Duke at home. They get Syracuse at home. They got to go to Florida State in week 12, which, if Florida State's not playing good football, we all know they are historic for just quitting on Mike Norvell. And then lastly, they play, I guess it's UNC. Yeah, they get UNC, which I think Belichick will be fired by then. So, like, this team could easily win 9-10 games. I actually, in my schedule prediction here, I have them losing to Duke at home because it's just such an NC State thing to do. And I have them losing to Virginia in week 0. And then what's the other game? For my boy Ashton Daniels, I have Florida State winning. But, like, I was also just trying really hard to find a third loss for NC State because I just have so hard to find a way to get them to go. There's just no way, right? I don't think they've won 10 games since Phil Rivers was there in like 2000 and what was that, 2003? I was like born that year. So I really like CJ Bailey though. Like, this is gonna be his third or fourth year as a starting quarterback. He's a big body guy, can use his legs. I don't know about Dave Doran, man. I'm gonna need to see it, but I really do like I think NC State's gonna be right up there with Louisville and SMU for that second place spot this year. Because I am chalking this thing up to Miami's conference, but that's why I like the Wolfpack at plus 2,700. And then lastly, I got Arizona for the Big 12, which, like, you could probably choose anybody not named Texas Tech or BYU for this spot. Let's see. Arizona Wildcats. I have them going 8-4 right now. They actually have like one of the tougher draws in the Big 12 based off the schedules I was looking at. They start the year off with Northern Arizona, then they got to go to Provo. Like, I think they're definitely losing to BYU. They get Northern Illinois, Washington State, Cincinnati, who's going to be buns. Like, J.C. French is your starting quarterback. Get out of here. So they should only have one loss going into that West Virginia game in week 6. It's at West Virginia. Year 2, Rich Rod. They got Cam Cook, so it's a toss-up. They got a bye week. They got Iowa State, who's in total rebuild. Then they got to go to Texas Tech. Then they finish the year with TCU, Utah, both at home. They got to go on the road to Kansas State. And then they finish the year with Arizona State. It's like, it's the Big 12, right? So, like, they could go 6-6. I'd be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Or they could go like 9-3, 10-2. Be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. They got Noah Fafita, who's the current active passing yards leader, I believe, going into this year in career, and maybe touchdowns too. Third or fourth year as a starter. I like these veteran guys. I think we've learned over the past 2 years, especially, that the veteran quarterbacks are the ones who are going to have the most success here. We saw with Will Howard at Ohio State, Fernando Heisman-Doza last year at Indiana. So I really like the veteran leadership. Brent Brennan really had a good year 2 compared to year 1. I don't hate the Arizona Wildcats at plus 2,200 to win the Big 12 if you're not named BYU or Texas Tech.
So I like what you said there. I didn't know that stat about Fafita and being the active passing leader. So that's interesting. Had zero clue.
One thing, if my computer dies before I go get my charger, just keep it rolling.
Sounds good. So I am going with the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Look, the Pokes are at plus 3,000 to win the Big 12, and I think that with the staff they brought over and the roster they brought over, I mean, North Texas was not any joke. I mean, hell, Hunt was, I'm pretty sure it was Hunt, was super big on North Texas last year, and Drew Messamaker's a dog. He's a damn good quarterback, and I think that they can kind of lean into that. And they're another team with a schedule that's not going to be too great. Now, granted, they are playing in the Big 12, so I mean, there's so much toss up there. So realistically, I think this team probably will go around 7-5. But like I've said multiple times tonight, I see a path of this team being 9-3, maybe 10-2, going into the conference championship week. Which, again, in the Big 12, if you're sitting at 9-3 or 10-2, there's a chance that you're in. Um, they're going to drop the game against Oregon and they're going to drop the game against Texas Tech. I believe in wholeheartedly. The All these other games are complete toss ups and they can win these. I mean, the only other game I have highlighted here that they might struggle really with is I don't love the West Virginia matchup. They're going to West Virginia coming off a cupcake. Um, but I mean, there's a realistic chance. I mean, Houston toss up, Iowa State toss up, Kansas State toss up. I mean, Arizona toss up. They'll beat Kansas. Kansas is going to fall off a cliff. Colorado has a corner on their team that is 5'8", 140. I mean, that team's like a Division III team. Shout out my D3 boys. But they have a good chance of winning this, going on a run and being competitive in the Big 12. And I think that this is the dark horse teams. I think that they are a dark horse. That there is a path to do it. Not saying that they will. Again, I realistically think they're probably going to drop a couple games they might not be supposed to drop, and probably end up about 7-5. But again, it would be just that perfect Cinderella story. They just brought everybody over from North Texas, and they're back to where they should be, right? So I think that there's a chance. Probably not gonna spend my dime on it, but if you're looking for a little dark horse with some crazy odds, why not? Why not Oklahoma State?
Why not? I got more on the Cowboys in a minute. Also, it says we're still live. I hope it didn't cut out and then come back on when my computer died, but I guess we'll just find that out in the morning. All right, disappointing season. So we're kind of flipping the script here. So we just talked about some teams might want to take a second look at them to make their conference championship. Now we're going to talk about some teams. So it's pretty much written in stone or they have pretty good odds that they're going to make the college football playoff. And I don't think Texas Tech is going to make the college football playoff this year. Actually, they might, but for the sake of this segment, I don't have them winning the Big 12 this year. I will say that. I have Brigham Young winning that one. So Texas Tech, obviously the most interesting offseason out of any program with the Brendan Sorsby saga. Oh, he's not going to play. He's under investigation. All right, he's banned. Oh, we got appealed. We got a local judge to sign off on it. He's playing again. The entire country goes in complete outrage. Yeah, Brendan Sorsby's not going to play this year. So he's going to be in the draft next year. Very interested to see how that goes. So now it's Will Hammond. And when Will Hammond came in against Utah last year, he played pretty well. In some of the other games he played in, I think he played against Arizona State, a very close nail biter. They ended up losing in Tempe. But I don't think Will Hammond's bad. I'm pretty sure he's a true sophomore this year. So we'll see how they go. But this schedule's chalk. They will find a way to lose one game on here, though. I don't know which one it'll be. It might be against Houston and Willie Fritz and Connor Wegman. It might be against Arizona. It might be to Rich Rod. It might be to Drew Mestemaker in Oklahoma State. It might be to a Dave Aranda who's trying to keep his job. It might be to Sonny Dykes to end the year before the Big 12 championship game in a look-ahead spot. But I think they will find a way to lose this game. And I don't see a world where a two-loss – we saw it last year with BYU, the same exact thing. I don't see a world where a team is rewarded for this pitiful of a schedule with two losses making the playoff, especially when you have some of these tough schedules like USC and Ohio State and fill in the blank with whatever SEC team you want, like Georgia. Georgia honestly doesn't have that tough schedule, but Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Texas, just off the top of my head, where if they lose 3 games in the regular season, I think this year the committee would favor teams such as those I just named from the Big Ten, the SEC, over a team like this from the Big 12. So that was my thought process on this one. Tyler?
Yeah, touching on your Texas Tech pick, I do agree with you that there is a
One last thing, I forgot to mention this. They're actually minus 195 with the seventh best odds, as they should be, to make the playoff. So that's I thought like this was a pretty good pick. So all right, what were you saying about the Red Raiders?
Well, I just wanted to say that, like, I think I agree with you. They'll find a way to drop at least one of these games that they should. Um, However, I just, in my mind, it's one of those things where the conference champion from this conference is going to have the automatic bid, and I don't know. Again, yes, I agree. They'll drop a game somewhere, but I think they still get to the conference title game. It's the my question is, can they pull it out and win that, knowing that that's their route into the playoff? And I think after watching that team last year, I kind of think that they can, but I don't think their roster is as good as it was last year. I mean that's kind of a given. So I'm kind of excited about that pick. I like that pick. I think there's a very good chance that they don't make it, and with the odds that they have, I agree. Pick the good one there.
They lost so much on that defense, like
Yeah,
leadership with David Bailey and Jacob Rodriguez and a few others whose names I'm not thinking of right now. And like I said, like, do they really like they got a true sophomore started a few games who also tore his ACL last year, you know? My biggest thing is that like and I'll just spoil it for our big preview. I have BYU beating Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship and Texas Tech with two losses. And uh, just to kind of lead us into the next segment, if this team only loses three games and it's to, let's just say, number top five Ohio State, top 10 Indiana, and top five Oregon, like, how do you leave this team out with a team who lost to probably somebody who's unranked and BYU?
that's real.
That's my
That's real.
biggest thing. So I'll let you talk about the Trojans, who, as everybody knows on the show, I have a USC problem. It's back. It's already back this year.
All right. Well, so again, this might be chalky because they have the 14th best odds to make the playoff. But at plus 240, I'm not spending my money on that. And here's why. Like you said, they're probably going to lose three games to Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana. And I've said it. I've said it the past 2 years. History tends to repeat itself. They're going to lose another game on this schedule. They'll Washington, that's one. Penn State, you're going cross country to Penn State. Hell, at Wisconsin, you never know what can happen when jump around starts playing. It's one of those things where, and I said this about Miami last year too.
At UCLA,
Yeah,
rivalry
that's another
game to
one.
end the year.
That's another one. See, I think that there's no way a four-loss team is making the playoff. I think that they have three losses for sure on their schedule, and I don't think that they win every game that they're supposed to win. I just don't. I don't think that Lincoln Riley has the guys there that they're not ready to win the games. They how do I put this? They'll take care of business most of the time, but they won't do it all the time. They just won't. And I see them losing another game on that schedule. I mean, hell, you look at this schedule and there are multiple games on here where you're like, ah, and that's what I'm saying here is that I don't think that they're in it. I'm completely out on USC, and I know that Hunter, you love to glaze USC. I'm out on it. I believe I was last year too. Um, I don't see it. I don't like Lincoln Riley in that offense. Or okay, pause. I do like Lincoln Riley in that offense because he's an offensive mastermind. However, don't know if they have the playmakers to do it. And plus, I think a lot of you think about most of these playoff teams, they revolve around football. USC, I mean, yeah, they've a very historic program, but they're not going to be showing up to games when it comes down to crunch time. I just don't think they are. Nobody's selling out that Maryland game. Nobody's selling. I mean, I don't think that Washington game will be sold out. And I don't think there's so many things in my mind that are stacked against USC's football program, and I don't see it happening. And so that's why I put them here. I think that they're in a situation where they're thinking playoff or bust, and I don't think that should be their thinking. I think that they should celebrate the playoff if they can somehow get there, rather than selling out for it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'll have more on the Trojans in a future episode for the sake of time. All right, last segment we got on here. It is the Heisman. So I tasked Tyler. I was like, Tyler, find two people. I said one, and he sent me two, and I was like, oh, that's actually a really good idea. Like a dark horse Heisman guy, but it's like, oh, I can see it. But then also like a dark horse Heisman guy. Um, and I was like, you know what? I'll pick up what he's putting down. So Tyler, I'll let you go over your two guys. Right there at the bottom.
So when I sent Hunter this text, I said I have one crazy and one realistic, and my crazy is going to be Mark Fletcher Jr. Um, Miami's going to be a good football team, and when you're one of the best players on a really good football team, you're going to be in the running to be considered one of the best players in the country. Um, to me, what really opened my eyes is how he performed in the playoff last year when he's playing the best competition. I mean, he ran the ball very well in the playoff. Let me see if I can pull up a couple of these games real quick. I mean, against Ole Miss, he had 22 carries for 133 yards. Against Indiana, he had 17 carries for 112 yards and two touchdowns. Um, that's just two games. But if you really look back on his season, he was 1,000-yard rusher last year. He averaged 5.5 yards per carry. I think that I mean, hell, most teams are gonna would love to have the guy average 5.5 yards per carry. I think that at plus 18,000 to win the Heisman. I mean, I think he could be in the running at the end of it. And again, this is my crazy answer, but I think that Mark Fletcher is a really good running back. Running backs typically do pretty well in Heisman voting. So I think there's a chance that he could be in New York. Again, it's kind of crazy. I don't want to sound delusional and be like, this guy is going to be in New York. But, sticking to what I've said all night, there's a path. There is a path where he could be there. My more realistic answer was Cam Coleman. Having Arch throw you the ball, uh, I'm not sold on Arch, but nonetheless, he's going to be in an offense that's going to be able to move the ball. They're going to throw it. He had 708 receiving yards last year and 5 touchdowns. He's a good ball player. I mean, just to put it easy. I mean, he's a damn good ball player. I think he's probably one of the top 5 talented receivers in the country. And at plus 10,000 to win the Heisman, if they can get him the ball like they probably should, he has a good chance of making a run to get to New York. So I like my Cam Coleman answer. I'm not super confident in it, but again, I went with a realistic dark horse here. So, not gung ho on he will be in New York, but I think that with the combination of Texas is going to be a good football team, Arch Manning is going to need a number one target, and what better guy to have than Cam Coleman? He was the number one player out of the portal, right? Right? Yeah. So I mean that just kind of goes to show it everybody is high on him, and I think that if they can get him the ball the way that they should, then I think he can make a run at that.
Yeah, like with Cam Coleman, he was just kind of trapped at Auburn, right? Like it wasn't really until that Vanderbilt game last year, but which my boy AD 12 started. Not besides the point. But like guy killed it. Like it's like we know how good Cam Coleman is, but like he just nobody could consistently get him the rock. He was just kind of trapped at Auburn. Now he's in the Sarkeesian offense. Arch was playing really, really good down the stretch in November last year. I think he's going to be able to get the ball to Cam Coleman at a very efficient clip. They also got a good run game. Like it's a very good offense for him to be in. So I don't hate either one of these dark horse picks. My most realistic dark horse is Drew Mestamaker. I know Tyler was talking about Oklahoma State. I only heard part of it because my computer died in the middle of it. But dude, this guy's just going to go out there and sling it. Like he led the nation in passing yards last year at North Texas. He has a really good running back in Caleb Hawkins too, who's probably the most underrated part of this whole transition from North Texas to Oklahoma State with Eric Morris. Like Caleb Hawkins is a dog, so you still have to respect the run, but this guy is going to sling it all over the yard. And at plus 6,500, like I feel like that's pretty good odds to get on Drew Mestamaker. Um, let's say Oklahoma State does make the Big 12 championship game, and then like he wins the dang thing. Like it's not crazy to think he might be in New York at the end of the year. And then my last one, my very, very unrealistic, but kind of realistic, not really. Dark horse. Justice Haynes. He is plus 25,000 to win the Heisman Trophy. Justice Haynes, if he can stay healthy, will probably lead the country in most attempts and carries this year. Georgia Tech lost five. Oh, go ahead, Tyler.
I just want to recap something that happened in mine and Hunter's life a few weeks ago. Shout out Jake again. We're out celebrating Jake's bachelor trip,
Jake,
and
we have one viewer right now. It's probably Jake.
it probably is Jake.
Probably is.
But I just wanted to throw this little note in there. We were talking a little bit of ball on the bachelor trip, I had to remind Hunter that Justice Haynes plays for Georgia Tech now. So just want to throw that out there. Hunter, you got to get that ball knowledge up, buddy. No,
I don't recall. I think you got me mixed up with somebody else, brother.
That was you. You and Carter both didn't know.
No,
didn't realize. Didn't realize.
No. Carter Stevenson could also be the one watching this right now, and he's
actually with Jake right now, so maybe they're watching it together.
Okay, yeah, they're probably
shout out the boys.
I know. If they're we know what they're doing. They're over there like we're live, and I'm not going to say anything too inappropriate while we're recording. But, we know what they're doing to watching Carson Beck on the TV. So, anyway. Plus 25,000 Justice Haynes. I think he's going to lead the nation in carries if he could stay healthy. I mean, this guy got all Big Ten third team last year, but he only played in 7 games. He played in 7 games, had 10 touchdowns, 857 yards, and he was averaging 7 yards a pop on 121 carries. Like, this guy was running the crap out of that rock at Michigan, and I think with Georgia Tech losing their 5 highest leading receiving yards. Oh my gosh, I can't speak. The 5 guys who led them in receiving last year, they're all gone. Haynes King, he's gone, and he ran that rock. What was it, 27 times against Clemson that game? And it was just feed Haynes King. If he dies, he dies. But, like, that's the guy we're going to die with. And I think that's going to be Justice Haynes this year. So, 25,000, Justice Haynes. Now, they're probably only going to go 6-6, 7-5. But, like, my gosh, could you imagine if he just, like, put the team on his back? The Georgia guy himself. You know what's crazy? His dad, Veron Haynes, fullback, catches the game-winning touchdown pass from David Green. Hobnail boot, legendary call by Larry Munson. They beat Tennessee, and now his son's playing for the rival school, Georgia Tech. It's pretty wild. You're on mute, but it's okay. Unbelievable. Well, that's all I got, man. I think this one went a little bit longer than we thought, but I think we're just excited to talk some ball.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, man. Anything else?
No, I mean, I'm excited for our big preview and what that's going to bring to the table, and got some more digging to do, and gonna get that playoff bracket nailed down here soon.
Yeah, me too. Even though Josh Pate stole mine the other day. Carter knows. Carter knows. All right. Well, that's all I got. Looking forward to the next one. That's podcast 129. God first and God bless.